Title: Trump's Big Idea for Gaza, a call for neutrality and the suffering of the Palestinian people. Welcome to Pleroma Pathways, where we explore esoteric and apocalyptic texts and consider how they relate to our modern world. In today's article, we address the latest developments in Gaza, particularly the controversial proposal put forward by President Donald Trump during his second term. While the focus of the discussion remains on geopolitical developments, it is crucial to approach these matters with a Christian perspective that emphasizes neutrality, compassion, and the importance of the resurrection of the dead. Trump's proposal for Gaza, a U.S. takeover. In recent news, President Trump made a bold announcement regarding Gaza. He suggested that the United States would take over the Gaza Strip, proposing the development of the territory into a thriving resort area, akin to the Riviera of the Middle East. Trump's plan involved the resettlement of the Palestinian population, an idea that has stirred significant debate both domestically and internationally. The plan to resettle the Palestinian population has been met with intense criticism. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas has condemned it as a violation of international law, while the international community has raised concerns over forced displacement and the potential erosion of Palestinian rights. Yet, the proposal has garnered support within Israel, with a poll indicating that the majority of Israelis back Trump's idea. Despite these varying reactions, it is important to focus on the human suffering and the impact of such plans on the Palestinian people, particularly in Gaza and the West Bank. The suffering of the Palestinian people in Gaza and the West Bank. As Trump's proposal unfolds, it is essential to remember the ongoing hardships faced by the Palestinian population. In Gaza, the people endure extreme poverty, lack of basic necessities, and a continuous state of violence and displacement due to the Israeli government's policies. The situation in the West Bank is similarly dire, with the expansion of Israeli settlements and restrictions on Palestinian movement, creating an environment of deep inequality and suffering. For true Christians, it is imperative to adopt a neutral stance on political conflicts and refrain from supporting war or military occupation. The teachings of Jesus Christ encourage compassion, understanding, and reconciliation, not the perpetuation of conflict or taking sides in political struggles. True Christians should advocate for peace, justice, and the alleviation of suffering, focusing on the well-being of all people, including Palestinians who have faced systemic injustice for decades. The prophetic perspective on Gaza and Israel. From a biblical standpoint, it is interesting to note that some interpret current events through the lens of prophecy. The prophet Joel speaks of a time when God will bring judgment upon nations surrounding Israel, including regions such as Gaza. While this prophecy may appear relevant to modern geopolitical developments, it is important to recognize that such passages must be interpreted with caution as they refer to the broader theme of divine judgment and restoration rather than political or military intervention. It is also crucial to remember that the suffering of the Palestinian people in Gaza and the West Bank is a matter of deep moral concern. As we explore biblical prophecies, we should not overlook the human cost of geopolitical conflict and consider how the teachings of Christ, especially his call for peace and love for all people, can guide our response to such crises. A call for neutrality and peace. In conclusion, while Trump's proposal for Gaza may bring temporary shifts in the geopolitical landscape, it is essential to remember the broader picture of human suffering and the need for peace. True Christians must remain neutral, not supporting war or political powers that perpetuate violence. We must advocate for a world where justice, mercy, and compassion reign, and where all people, Palestinians and Israelis alike, can live in peace. Let us remain committed to the principles of love and righteousness, as exemplified by Jesus Christ, and seek to alleviate the suffering of all people. The kingdom of God, which we await with hope, will bring true restoration, justice, and peace for all. The coming war on Israel. As we witness the unfolding geopolitical developments in Gaza and Israel, it is important to acknowledge the suffering of both sides, especially the Palestinian people. The ongoing violence, including the destruction of hospitals, schools, and the killing of innocent civilians, has led to immense human suffering. The Palestinian people in Gaza and the West Bank continue to face oppression, displacement, and the devastating consequences of conflict. It is crucial to address these human rights violations and work toward a peaceful resolution for all parties involved. The Bible offers profound insights into the current geopolitical situation and how it relates to the broader narrative of divine prophecy. In Numbers 35, verse 33, the Bible makes a solemn declaration. You shall not pollute the land in which you live, for blood pollutes the land, and no atonement can be made for the land for the blood that is shed in it, except by the blood of the one who shed it. The bloodshed of innocent lives, whether through warfare, violence, or oppression, pollutes the land and brings about judgment. In this context, the ongoing violence in Gaza and Israel, which results in the death of civilians and the destruction of vital infrastructure, serves as a grim reminder of the consequences of unchecked violence. God warns that such actions will ultimately lead to divine judgment. Furthermore, Ezekiel 39:26 offers a chilling prophecy. After they have borne their shame and all their unfaithfulness in which they were unfaithful to me, when they dwelt safely in their own land, and no one made them afraid. This passage speaks of a time when God's people will experience a false sense of security, only to face the consequences of their actions. The violence that continues to unfold in Gaza and the West Bank underscores the failure to seek peace and justice for all people, and the resulting consequences are seen in the escalation of tensions. The consequences of such violence and injustice are made even clearer in Zechariah 14:2, which speaks of the coming judgment upon Jerusalem and Israel. For I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle, and the city shall be taken, and the houses rifled, and the women ravished, and half of the city shall go forth into captivity, and the residue of the people shall not be cut off from the city. This prophecy foreshadows a time when the nations will turn against Israel in an all-out war. It is a reminder of the struggles that Israel will face in the coming days and the divine intervention that will ultimately follow. In Ezekiel 38, verse 11, we see a picture of a temporary peace before the coming conflict. You will say, I will go up against a land of unwalled villages. I will attack a peaceful and unsuspecting people, all of them living without walls and without gates and bars. This passage suggests that before the final conflict, Israel will experience a brief period of peace and security, only for it to be shattered by an unexpected invasion. This temporary peace aligns with the recent developments in the region and the proposed plans for a resolution, but it also reminds us that peace in this world is fleeting and often fragile. Amos 9:14 provides a hopeful glimpse into the future, declaring that God will bring restoration to his people. I will bring again the captivity of my people of Israel, and they shall build the waste cities and inhabit them. This restoration is not only a return to the land, but also a spiritual renewal that will be fully realized when Jesus Christ returns to reign. The promise of divine restoration is reinforced by Amos 9, verse 15. And I will plant them upon their land, and they shall no more be pulled up out of their land, which I have given them, saith the Lord thy God. This indicates that after the coming war, God's people will be firmly established in the land, and no one will be able to remove them. As we witness the growing tensions in Gaza, the surrounding hostility, and the indifference of many nations, we are reminded of the divine plan unfolding. These events bring us closer to the fulfillment of God's promises, including the ultimate restoration of Israel under the righteous reign of Jesus Christ. The prophecies of Ezekiel, Zechariah, and Amos show that, despite the current suffering and injustice, a divine resolution will ultimately come when Christ returns. In conclusion, the current geopolitical developments in Gaza and Israel are deeply intertwined with biblical prophecy. While temporary peace may arise, the ongoing hostility and violence highlight the enduring conflict leading up to the ultimate divine intervention. As we watch and wait for the return of Christ, we are reminded of the need for peace, justice, and the hope that, through God's intervention, all things will be made right in his time.